Hey everyone, welcome to our U-ACT live broadcast. We are talking to parents today. We want you to protect your kids, especially over summer. So let me introduce who we are. My name is Lynne Barletta. I'm the founder and CEO of U-ACT, United Against Child Trafficking. And this is, go ahead and tell us who you are.
I'm James Billig. I'm the Chief Compliance Officer from U-ACT also.
And James, you have a background in law enforcement. You have a background in threat mitigation. You've been decorated by a former governor. Tremendous, wonderful educational information that you give law enforcement. And tell us what you're doing with the Blue Taskforce real quick.
Yes, our Blue Taskforce has been very active down here in Florida. And fortunately, we're going to New Jersey next week.
And that's our U-ACT Blue Taskforce.
Yes. So it's law enforcement training is to helping road patrol officers gear up and understand what threats to look for at the time that they make contact with citizens, to make sure that we're doing everything we can at that point of contact to save kids and to catch bad guys.
And we're wanting to go to all the states, so we really can unite all the states united to fight child trafficking.
Yeah, we were fortunate that New Jersey came along really pretty rapidly from a good relationship that we have there. So we're going to be kicking things off in Monmouth County next week. So
as we are entering into the summer months, and since you are a threat mitigation expert, you have been contracted by schools, K through 12, throughout Florida and even Georgia, to implement threat guidelines. And as I mentioned, you have been decorated by a former governor for your work in this area. Tell us a little bit about how you have implemented your program into schools, your guidelines, and what their success rate is.
Yeah, that's really what I wanted to bring this, this conversation to what we do at U-ACT, because a lot of these issues go hand in hand. And we've had great success in utilizing the depth and defense methodology when it comes to school safety. We look back at 9/11 and what our successes have been in protecting cockpits since 9/11. We've had a 100% success rate.
You think about that. I used to be a flight attendant, and guarding the cockpit back in the day when I was a flight attendant wasn't so important, but then it became paramount. And nobody accesses now. Right,
and we've done an amazing job in developing that program. My argument has been for the past 25 years, gee, if we did it in, after 9/11 for airplanes, why haven't we been able to do it for classrooms?
Oh, why can't we do that for schools and make them accessible?
We can. We just haven't.
Okay.
But the best thing that we can do is show the wins, show the successes of what actually works. And so one of the schools that I work with is Palm Beach Maritime Academy. I work with several schools. I work with Real Life in Claremont, which is a huge Christian-based school. Brentwood Academy up in Georgia, Crisp Academy in Georgia also.
We're talking about safety for your children over the summer concerning online approaches of predators and traffickers, but we want you to understand how safety works and what your success rate has been, and that's why we're talking about this.
And that's why this is important, because it doesn't just take one thing to fix a problem. When we look at the things that all the depth that we utilize in protecting airplanes, if 3 things break down, there's 5 more pieces of redundancy to pick up where they've left off. So there is no theoretical silver bullet for fixing any problem of this magnitude. And of course, this goes for protecting our children from online predators and trafficking.
Give them a few stats of how big child trafficking actually is.
I mean, our statistics have gone off the charts in the past 2 years.
Even 1 year.
Yeah, I mean, and I think we're obviously going to see these numbers jump a great deal when we get to 2026 numbers. But yeah, I think that the staggering number is that 6,000% increase in reported crimes for exploitation for children through NCMEC. And that's staggering.
Yes, that's AI approaches as predators and traffickers. These are bots approaching children online. So I just want to make sure our audience understands what that is.
Yeah, and it's very broad, and so I don't want to overwhelm people with the broad problem. The online issue, the making contact issue. Really what we want to do is try and fortify parents as we enter into the summer months. Look at some of the successes that we've had specifically at Palm Beach Maritime and what they did regarding cell phone usage. in limiting child and conditioning them.
That's so good. And I'm so excited because we actually have solutions. So hang with us parents and grandparents, because we've got answers and solutions. We're going to share about the problem, but go ahead and expound on, just what your guidelines have done.
We enter into a school, we'll look at really what their weaknesses are. We do threat mitigation. So we don't approach it from a good guy's point of view. We approach it from a bad guy's point of view. What can we do to break your system, to break what you have in place and improve upon that? Everything is about creating redundancy and developing plans that we know that will never end. Your security plan never ends. It never ends at your home. Why? Because technology and people constantly change. Technology evolves and the criminal mind always evolves. So we always have to do our best to stay one step ahead, think like what a bad guy would do to breach our security, and what a bad guy would do to get to your child. Those are important things to think about. So
to stay ahead of them.
Yeah.
So we're not chasing them from the back.
We want to be proactive, not reactive, and that's a hard thing to do. But part of the lesson today is about how you can recondition kids and watch the behavior improve. This is really kind of just extremely interesting.
I love that.
I've been blown away by this. So I want to share that information.
Are you talking about the umbilical cord that connects the child to the phone?
Well, sure. So, the cell phone has become an extension of the human body. There's no doubt about it. There's a dependency. There is an addiction. If you take a phone away from a child, you will watch the same type of withdrawals take place that you would for somebody if you took heroin away from them. There's no doubt about it. They will do anything to get back to that phone. What Palm Beach Maritime Academy did is they started an experiment about 2 years ago, and they introduced what's called a Yonder bag. And a Yonder bag is basically a Faraday bag that does not allow any type of communication to get into this phone during the course of the day while they're in school.
It's fantastic.
Yes. So these bags cost about $30. They were able to get funding, grant money, however they had to do it, but they got one for each student. And they work on a tag like you have a sensor tag like you see with clothing. So the child has their own bag; they're responsible for it. They come in, drop the phone, lock the bag, and when they leave at the end of the day, they walk by a post, it unlocks the bag, they take their phone, and they go home and they go about their business. Wow. But the cool thing about it is
the children are cooperating with this.
Oh yeah, they don't have an option, right? So they've been conditioned. So the cool thing about it is, we all know that your cell phone's listening to you 24 hours a day, right? So you and I can sit here and talk about Yonder Bag right now, walk out of this building, and then on my Facebook page, I'm going to see an ad for Yonder Bag.
Yes, of course.
So we're constantly being marketed.
I think it even reads our thoughts, because I could be thinking about something I want to buy, and I will see it on my iPhone.
Yeah, that's what AI can do. But here's the beautiful thing about these being in the Yonder Bag while they're at school. That phone's not being hit during that 8 to 10 hours during the course of that day by AI and by that marketing. All day long, the algorithms are not hitting that phone. So the phone's not showing activity during that time. So if it were showing inactivity but connectivity, as soon as that child started to engage, they would get bombarded with information.
Oh my goodness.
So this is cool. This pretty much takes the phone offline without erasing equipment.
That's brilliant.
That's what a Faraday bag does. It's great for evidence whenever you catch a predator, you get their phone.
So it's safer than just putting it in a locker or not bringing it to school.
Yeah. I mean, a locker keeps it out of use, but the Yonder bag, it gives the kids ownership of it also because they actually are carrying it with them. They know it. But here's some of the cool stuff that's come out of Palm Beach Maritime Academy that I wanted to share.
Okay.
So before they started this program in 2024, they expelled 40 kids for fighting. 40 kids, okay? They're a Title I school, so they're bringing kids in as far as Wellington. And those who aren't familiar with this area, Wellington's a good 20 miles away from where Palm Beach Maritime is.
Sure.
They bus kids in from all over Palm Beach County, from the farthest ends. So they had 40 expulsions in 2024. They've had 0 ever since they've implemented these bags. It's pretty cool. So the academically
related to behavior.
Absolutely. So we look at cause and effect. What was the variable change that took place? Pretty much everything else stayed a constant as far as engagement from teachers, curriculum, and all those things. The one big variable change they had was locking these phones up in these bags.
So amazingly enough, so not only do the bags keep the phone away from the child, but it keeps the predators away from the phone.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what's just resonating right now, and I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
And it's not taking the phone away from a child. We're all going to have to use our phones. We're going to have to use technology, and that's just part of life. But the limitations that it's putting on it for the well-being and welfare of children, this is fabulous, Jim.
Yeah, but here's the side of the physical engagement. So that they never had, we all had powder puff, right? We know what the powder puff is. Now they actually have an organized flag football team, male and female, that competes. Their girls basketball team, which hardly competed in 2024, has now won 2 championships.
Is it because of the yonder bag? Oh my goodness!
Listen, I'm not saying it's all because of the yonder bag, but their ability to get kids to become more active on the playground, and it's nice because I was sitting in Steve Cosenza's office, who runs the school, and I'm looking out on the playground, and I've been working with the school for 10 years, and it used to be all the kids sitting on the picnic table on their phones. Now it's boys and girls on the basketball court, all playing during recess. And they've just become more physically active, and they're all so they've seen a 20% increase in kids who are signing up for organized sports too.
So, what would you say to parents who don't have a school that has this capability? What would you say to schools? Obviously, people are going to go, "How do I do this?"
Yeah, it's not hard. I mean, if you go on to their website. Overyonder.com. It's YONDR, overyonder.com. There are all sorts of government grants, monies that are set aside through budget dollars, that, especially if you're in a Title I school, there's all sorts of money, and the cost is $30.
So parents, if you contact us on our website, which is u-act.org, and you're interested in getting this into your school, you can get information. You can get this information, or you could show this video. We'll be posting this. It'll be on YouTube and other places. For you to be able to show to authorities in a school, this might be something that your school might want to find out about.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is too is because they're in a lot of schools all over the country, so you may already have a school that has it. But the kind of the point I wanted to get across everything is about conditioning, right? I'll go back to 9/11. Before 9/11, you're not going to get me to take my shoes and my belt off before I go through security.
Right.
Now we've become experts at it. These kids got conditioned over the course of a year that they understood that it was no longer okay for them to use their cell phones while they were at school. It's time to learn and be active.
Sure.
So they became conditioned. It can be done.
Interesting.
But what we don't want to do is have these kids fall back into these old habits as soon as school starts. So if you do have a child that is utilizing this technology, or you have a child that you want to start introducing this technology to, Yonder does have options for you to have this at home. They have the Yonder box that's got a timer on it.
I like that you're expounding on the technology that schools have implemented as a result of these programs.
Absolutely. Listen, everything is always about a balance of technology and training. No matter what field in threat mitigation that you're in, you always have to maintain that balance. You can implement all the technology in the world, but if people aren't actively using it, aren't keeping it fresh, do not have muscle memory, you're going to lose that. And so what we want to do is try and encourage parents that, this actually worked in the school, it got kids more active. And so if you can try and implement it at home, if you can get one of these, and we're not getting paid by Yonder, so
but Yonder, maybe you can tell Yonder that U-ACT recommended them, and then Yonder might want to support us, because we're giving out their name.
It's just tools. I mean, like I said, it takes a multitude of things to solve an issue, right? And you have to have redundancy. You have to assume something is going to fail, so you have a couple more things to back it up.
I like to say what we're facing in this world of predators and traffickers is multifaceted.
Yes.
And it takes a multifaceted approach to be able to stop them.
Right.
And so we have to be able to do more than one thing. And parents, you have to monitor from several different angles. And that's some of the other things we talk about. So so tell me more about this Yonder bag and show me Why does it keep predators out? Is it just got a lining that, like, what's the?
It's the Faraday bags have been used for quite a long time. They've been a tool used by law enforcement. So it's a synthetic style bag that just prohibits any type of connectivity into the phone. So the phone's sitting there, it's working, it's operating. How it's utilized in the law enforcement world is if they take possession of a predator's phone, drop it in the bag, it can't be remotely accessed to start deleting information.
So it completely cuts off the internet. That's basically what it does.
Any connectivity.
So tell us how using the Yonder bag, a little bit more about how it's impacted children. And what should the takeaway be for parents? Would you recommend a parent getting one of these?
Yeah, I do. I mean, if you can get one for your home, if you go onto the website, they have several products. Mm-hmm. One of the cool things they have is a box that actually you drop the phone in there at night, and it's got a timer on it, and you can't get into it.
And that stops the internet also.
It does. Well, it's got the same
I'm going to get one of these. I don't know about you guys, but definitely, I think we'll get them for our grandchildren as well.
I'll get one for myself, so
well, but you don't know what they're doing while you sleep, right?
Absolutely,
exactly.
And the other cool thing too is I wanted to bring out. We've been partnered with Bark for quite a long time.
Yes.
Another tool for you guys for the summer is the Bark phone. Mm-hmm. This is an excellent tool. They are the leaders in the world right now for this technology. The phone itself is built in with encryption that actually works on the back end. It doesn't work through an app. So it keys in on words, it keys in on photos, and it sends flags to parents if they have this phone. If it detects any type of CSAM, that's explicit materials for children. If it sees that, a verbiage.
Wait, let's define that. Child sexual abuse material. That's what CSAM is. That's child pornography. It's also if a child is sending an inappropriate picture of themselves to another child, which, listen, this is what 8-year-olds are doing. They don't know any better. They're so innocent, but their friends do it, and then they talk their friends into doing it. And that's how sexting and sextortion starts. And it's starting at a much earlier age, parents, than you could possibly imagine. So you've got 7 and 8-year-olds doing this. And that's why the conversation with your kids needs to be had at a much earlier age than what you would think.
Yeah, and understanding sextortion. I mean, you have organized and then you have individual sextortion that's taking place. At Palm Beach Maritime Academy, they had a couple of cases of this that took place of students extorting other students after getting a nude photo of them.
And then threatening
It's all stopped. And then they threaten them. And you don't know how your child's behaving. This is part of our law enforcement training. You may have a juvenile that's completely changed. And who's going out and maybe committing crimes, committing vandalism. They may be in the middle of being sextorted because they've given a picture and they're being told to go do these things.
That's right. Their grades may plummet in school. They may withdraw from their friends. They lock themselves in their rooms. We've seen this.
It's getting bigger. The reason why it's become a moneymaker because they hold these kids hostage and say, "Hey, you're going to pay us $500. You're going to pay us $1,000,
or even $100," and the kid goes out and gets it out of mom's wallet or something because they're terrified.
They're terrified.
They're not bad kids. They're just terrified.
And they don't have a trusted parent to go to say, "This is happening to me." They're going to continue that behavior, and ultimately, if you really start to get deep into the cult mindset that runs a lot of these, their ultimate goal is to have that child take their own life. So we want to prevent those things. And there's, always please contact us if you want to learn more about that. But to stay on point, the Bark phone has everything built into it that prevents that. It gives a parent an instant alert. An awesome story Nancy Grace did. She's a huge proponent of this phone. She uses it for her child. And her son actually put his arm out during soccer and got a huge welt on his arm because they blocked a goal. And all he did was he took a picture of it. All he did was put it on Instagram for his friends and said, "Hey, look, it was worth it. I stopped the goal and won the game." And the ratio of skin to background on the pixelation was so high, it set an alert off. And Nancy was on her show, got an alert, stopped her show, and was terrified that her son had put on some type of nude photo on there. And she goes to check and sees that it was actually innocent. But what a great
isn't that great? The algorithms detect the amount of skin that's being shown, and they protect children.
And if you don't, if you don't have the phone, which costs no more than just getting a regular Android,
it looks just like an iPhone, so it saves space for children.
It does, and
especially young children should have that phone.
Absolutely. So a first phone, get them started on the first phone. You've conditioned them already.
That's right. And there's no access to the internet, and it's just for contact. It's for you to be able to contact your child, and only approved people are in there, and they can't get
on Roblox. They can't get on Minecraft. They can't get onto these games where these predators sit. They can't get into Discord and start having these chats where they get pulled into these private rooms where all this deviant behavior takes place. So the cool thing is too is if you've already got a phone established, you can get the app, and their app actually works behind the scenes. It works in the back end of the phone. And they even have a router that you can put into your home. So they do have a lot of products. We're big fans of theirs. They had us on their podcast months ago.
Yes, Jimmy, and they have a viewing audience of 2 million.
They do.
But James has such insight and such information that everybody should have and know, and that's why it's important to just do broadcasts like this so people can have this information. And it's all about conditioning for engagement. And you were going to tell us a case study, or you were going to share actually some stories with us. Did you have a story to share?
Yeah, I mean, there's been so many cases of these kids out there who are sitting at the dinner table. We discussed it before on one of our U-ACT updates for Kyle Tate, and Kyle Tate was just a good student, a good child, a good home,
good parents.
Engaged parents. They did everything that they were supposed to do, and this poor kid gets texted while sitting at a dinner table and goes into his bedroom and becomes sextorted. Didn't have the money to pay, felt he didn't have any options, and within a 2-hour period, he took his own life. His parents never had a shot to save his life, and they were doing everything right. He just didn't feel that he wanted to expose this embarrassment to his parents. He was mortified, and not understanding that the problem is far more common than he was aware of. And it's just a huge tragic loss. But his parents have just been true champions since their son took his own life to try and stop this. And I really commend them on their bravery with this. I do follow them and comment on everything they do, because I don't know. I don't know if I can do it.
They're heroes. And the truth of the matter is, if parents, and we're going to really encourage this, and we're going to get experts on some of our shows, especially our parent webinars. We have experts coming in who know how to teach you, to help you have these conversations with your kids early on. So if your kid would ever get approached or somebody tried to talk them into sexting or sextortion, they would know what to do because they've been prepped by you. Better you than a predator, right?
Yeah, and we discussed this the other day. This is a very, very broad subject, and it is extremely overwhelming, especially when you start breaking down generations. Me being a Gen Xer, you being the baby boomer. We get overwhelmed by this information. We're not used to it.
I just told a nurse this morning, I said, I'm doing parent webinars to protect children from predators and traffickers, and a nurse, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I'm like, wait a minute. Do you have children? Yes, I have children. I don't want to know.
It's hard to listen to. But the approach always needs to be a top-down, bottom-up approach. There is, again, no silver bullet that fixes this problem. Yes, we've got to catch the bad guys. We've got to catch the predators. We've got to shut them down on a national level as far as how they're able to impact children.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, there's a long-term solution. The short-term solution, the one that makes the most impact, is reaching the child, reaching the source. There's a supply and demand issue here, okay? That there is a huge demand on the supply chain. If you can cut the supply chain off, you end it. And that's by educating children and letting them know that this threat is imminent and what are the steps that they can take if it happens with them, because you can't be on top of them at all times.
No.
So you can do what you can with technology as far as trying to prevent it, but the training of the child is
teaching your children. That's so important. Parents, you are the first line of defense, but education is everything. And children that are educated and understand are not as likely to respond. So how long does it take the average child to respond to a bot or a predator that is coming after them online, and they just maybe say a few sentences to them? How long does it take?
It takes about 8 minutes to groom them.
8 minutes. Okay. And what if the kid is having problems at home or struggling with something.
It's going to be quick, and that's kind of the scary part, guys. These predators, yes, they do go on to games like Roblox and Grand Theft Auto and Fortnite, but understand they also stalk these children in places that talk about anorexia or suicide. They go and they find children who are already struggling as it is. They befriend them, and once they befriend them, they own them. The case that I just recently worked with Homeland Security, where we had a predator who traveled all the way to Alabama. He did it on two sites that, I'm in this game, and I'm studying this stuff, and here I learned of two other platforms that are now being utilized, Lady Popular and Movie Star Planet. These are two brand new apps that have come out, two different platforms that have come out. Understand these guys are agile. They know once the attention starts being put on one, they're just going to move to another. It is unfortunately a target-rich environment, and they will find potential victims everywhere they go.
That's why we are always updating, always keeping you up with the latest trends, because that's what we can do to equip parents. And I recently gave a presentation in New York, and I said to all of the people there, I said, did you hear about the arrests that took place with New York FBI and across the country just 3 days ago? Every single one of them said, no, we don't know a thing. And so I had to tell them that 200 children were just rescued and 350 predators and traffickers were arrested. And they had not heard a word about it.
No, and we get excited about that, but then we say, geez, drop in the bucket.
Oh, yeah. That's just a scratch on the surface, because they are the ones that got caught. They're the ones that got rescued. You went on a raid to basically bust somebody who had CSAM, and you were going to confiscate their devices, and you found something entirely different.
And that's
found on that just a little bit.
That's the way that these cases work. It's an onion peel. So you go into it, you create a tactical plan, you execute your tactical plan that, yes, we're gonna get the suspect as he's on his way to work, we're gonna get him separated from his home, and we're gonna hit the home simultaneously to collect any physical evidence that we can from electronic devices to manifestos or anything else which they were able to do. But then you unveil this whole other deviant world that's taking place inside the home, and it snowballs into two children that are within the home that are also having these horrible things.
And 4
2 and 4
girls,
and all these horrible things that are happening to them, and now you've taken one case that started in Alabama that you've got 4 or 5 agencies that are involved in that have now snowballed into this other thing. And then you're recovering physical evidence there that's showing that the electronic communications taking place from this suspect are so broad that you're entering into multiple states, multiple agencies. You're talking years of investigating
videos, and they're getting videos, and they're collecting them, and there's thousands of images and videos that the poor law enforcement people have to look at, and then they're traumatized by it.
They are, and then the problem is systemic. It's really hard to wrap your head around it, especially from an operational standpoint. When you're trying to create solutions, when you look at how deep and systemic it becomes, you tend to throw your hands in the air a little bit and say, okay, how far do we really want to go right now? The unfortunate side of having that mindset is, well, if we don't go any further, there might be another kid at the end of this that we have to go save. And so that's the challenge. That's why
they did save 2 children.
They did save 2, and you got to take the
babies. That's so cool. I want to stop and just thank God for that. Yeah. And that those children are safe now.
Well, and that's the big thing. Listen, we got to take the wins away. You have to focus on the wins, because we predominantly we always focusing on the losses. In the active shooter world, is how many people were killed. Oh, it was only 16. Well, it was 21 2 months ago, so that wasn't a really big one. And that's just
celebrate
that's part.
The wins.
Yeah, that is the sick mindset that we have, especially when it gets exploited so much in the media about body counts. What about the wins? How many people were saved during that time that because of the actions of one or actions of 2 that stopped this from happening?
Right.
We just saw this happen with the mosque shooting, where one security guy put his life on the line. His life was taken, but how many lives were saved because of what he did?
Well, Here's a challenge. Here's a TikTok or a social media challenge. What if 1,000 people decided to say, hey, Homeland Security just rescued 2 babies. Isn't that a great win? Yeah. And just broadcast that out and let other people pick it up instead of all the negativity.
Yeah, and listen, there's a divide. There's a political divide, and the beautiful thing about what we do, there's no politics.
It crosses all the boundaries. Children are children.
That's right.
Whether you're blue, black, white, or pink, or red, you are going to want to save children if you have any brains and any heart.
Right. Yeah. Yes. This is where I pray to God. This is one area that we can all agree upon.
Oh my gosh.
And I will touch it. I don't care. I'm not afraid to say anything. The one good thing about when we talk about the Epstein files, this has actually brought attention to this subject. It has, whether good or bad, the way people want to push their politics out there. Yes. It's bringing it to the forefront where people are actually engaging on this and they're actually paying attention because the sexual predator does not discriminate. I don't care who they are, what profession they're in, right. and we can't vilify any profession at all because people get into professions who are deviants because they want to be able to expand upon what their behaviors are, and they want ease of use. They want a target-rich environment. That's why they choose positions of authority, where kids are easily accessible. That's why we have to be careful. That's why, especially teachers out there, we've seen a lot of cases lately. Guys, got a lot
of teachers being arrested.
There are. You guys got to start policing yourself. Yes. Because there's so many good educators out there who are doing their jobs, and there's that few, that 10% rule that's always going to be in every profession. You got to look out for them, not bury your head in the sand.
Including Disney, and you got to know that this is where the pedophiles and predators and traffickers go to work, to access, to penetrate, so they can find children.
Yeah, see something, say something is never going to get us. Is never a saying we're going to stop saying.
That's right. That's right.
It's going to keep on going. So,
that's right.
My message for the day. You know what? Check into Yonder. Go to overyonder.com, YONDR, and then also go to bark.us. Check out Bark on their Bark phone. These are 2 tools for you for the summer that can be extremely helpful for you. Help conditioning your kids now for good things, getting them out there, getting activity, getting them breathing.
Well, yeah, so if we talk about the upcoming summer months and how to engage your kids, what we really want to say is that you don't want your kids bored at home doing video games and on their phones while you're working. Yeah. So having them involved in activities, seeking summer camps and things like that, whatever that could keep them busy and engaged is a good thing, because how many hours a day do you think a child spends on their phone, on their device?
Yeah, and when they're out of school, you can see that 10, 12, 14 hours. And some of the studies that came out, obviously a lot of this got worse during COVID. And we know this during the lockdown.
Kids were spending an average of 8 to 14 hours a day.
This was the epitome of everything becoming worse was during COVID. This is where a lot of this just.
And that was the plan. That was the plot in the whole thing.
However it happened, it was executed well and it worked, right? So now we're in this jackpot, and we got to turn it around. It can be turned around.
And we are.
Yeah, Maritime Academy proved it. This is the cool thing about what they did. They proved it can work.
I love that. And the stats prove it. And, we also find that when children, just for instance, some of our outreach programs that we do, where we are fully engaging trafficked and at-risk children and abused children in art, when they put their phones down and they're actually engaged in art and in our programs, their attention span stretches and their test scores go up.
Right.
This is huge, and we're documenting this. So this is very exciting to provide alternatives, provide solutions. We want to be solution-based. We want to be action-based. I mean, it's just too important not to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I want to say down at Palm Beach Maritime Academy, Steve, Anthony, and Chelsea, you guys have just done a phenomenal job down there. Hats off to you for what you guys have done. I think it's amazing. I'm looking forward to doing our documentary this summer. Yes. We're doing a full documentary. It's probably going to be about an hour and a half to 2 hours long, going through every single thing that they've done over the past 10 years since I've known to protect kids. It's an awesome story. I can't wait to tell it.
It's so important to stand guard, take action, and protect your children. And that's becoming our new mantra for parents. is to take that action and monitor your children. And if you're going to have a computer, put it in the middle of the house where you can see where they're at, who's contacting them. Of course, that Bark app, remember we said that'll actually tell you who's engaging with your children.
Yeah.
It's funny, I ran into a mom at Verizon, and we were just talking because we were waiting for our phones, and she had her 10-year-old son there. It was a beautiful family, and they were bragging on their son, how smart he was and everything. And I'm going, oh, cool, that's cool. I go, do you play, are you gaming? Do you like to play online? He goes, oh yeah, I love Roblox. I love all the different games. And I said, so I looked at his mom and I said, so are you aware of some of the dangers of Roblox? She goes, no, tell me. And so I started sharing with her. This is her response. My son would never do that. We've actually spoken with my son. He's very smart. He knows what to do and what not to do. I go, that's wonderful. I said, that's what we hear from most kids and from most parents. But actually, these predators and traffickers are so expert at what they do, preying upon innocence, that even a good, really smart, straight A student could be engaged by predator very easily. And I said, I would recommend you getting the Bark app. I gave her my phone number. She went out and got the Bark app. She wrote me a week later, and she said, unbelievable. All these predators were talking to our son, and we didn't know until we got the Bark app. We thought he was safe. We thought he was only talking to his friends. We thought he was in the safe room. Right. And that he was not engaging with anybody else, but he was. No. And they were so thankful. Yeah. So we would just want to impart that to our parents here listening.
Yeah, the deviant mind is going to find whatever weakness your child has. They're going to expose it, and they're going to use it against them. They're just too good at it.
That's right.
So if you chop the avenue off, if you stop the demand, the supply chain, with that demand that's sitting out there, you're going to have far more success. And that's just sitting the kid down and talking to them. They're too smart. They're going to be on those games no matter what. They just got to know what to look for.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we want to thank you for joining us today. We love that you are listening, that you are learning. If you would like to volunteer and be a part, you can go online. We have a lot of different task forces that you can sign up for. We have a youth task force. We have a parent task force. We need your feedback, parents, and we would love to involve you in stopping this travesty. And so go to u-act.org and sign up. And you can certainly donate there. Of course, we need funds to expand and to continue. We are giving law enforcement training now here in Martin County, also Monmouth County in New Jersey, and we're talking to Colorado. And so our goal is to train how many officers in the state of Florida?
47,000.
Oh, 47,000. That's like, yeah, but
every month.
But every month to give them monthly updates. And we are fully ready to do that. And there's more in the hopper. There's so much that we're able to do right now because this is a grassroots movement. We are causing a movement from the bottom up, but we're also bringing technology from the top down. And we have great news coming. You've got to stay tuned, stay engaged. Make sure that you sign up for our parent webinars. Just go to our webpage. Right there on the homepage, hit the QR code, hit the link, and sign up for free. And you'll be on the webinar with us this Friday. And if you miss it, we will be sending it out so you can watch it later.
Yeah. Well, we're always going to be here for you to contact us and for you to learn. We have a big uphill battle, but it can be done.
That's right. Okay, remember, stand guard, take action, protect your child. Thank you.